Just when you thought you heard it all, now a corrections officer from Pennsylvania is the latest victim of New Jersey's unjust gun laws. 46-year-old Sergeant Ray Hughes arrested and charged with illegal possession of a handgun he legally owns. It all started the night he was hit by a drunk driver. Since then, he's been living a nightmare. He's been suspended from the correctional facility where he worked for more than 13 years. In this exclusive interview, Sergeant Hughes told me he has dedicated his life in law enforcement to keeping the bad guys locked up. But now, New Jersey is determined to make him one of them, a convicted felon facing up to 10 years in prison. But Sergeant Hughes is even more determined to make sure that never happens. Take a look.
I crossed a bridge. All of a sudden, my personal carry permit and the fact I'm a corrections officer and a former police officer doesn't matter.
We were victims. We were hit by a drunk driver, and we went from being a victim to my husband being a criminal. That's just insane to me. We're not lawbreakers.
What does it boil down to New Jersey's evil law? He is a sergeant in the state correctional facility, and now is one click below murder in New Jersey.
That night, myself and my wife went to a concert and dinner in Atlantic City. We were on our way home. We were proceeding through the green light, and a drunk driver turned left in front of us, drove recklessly, and collided into us, which has caused us injuries, and which we're still treating for and going to therapy.
I just remember on impact thinking, oh my God, and the airbag just coming towards my face. And the police were on scene pretty quickly.
He saw my FOP placard on the back of the truck. He saw my corrections officer sticker on the back of the truck that identified me as a corrections officer. He said, "Do you have your weapon?" I said, "Yes, and I have my permit in the truck also." He said, "Okay, we'll secure your clothing for you and your weapon. You're gonna be taken to the hospital in an ambulance."
And you had no idea at the scene that there was a problem with your firearm.
I honestly believed I was getting it back. I had no idea that I was gonna be facing charges that night. Actually, what they just said, they said, when you get a chance, bring your Pennsylvania carry permit and your work ID over. We're gonna verify your employment tonight. You can get your stuff back. I took that information over 2 days later. 5 nights later, I'm sitting here in my house in my chair, and I get a call from the officer at the scene telling me, "You're being charged with a Class 2 felony, unlawful possession of a firearm."
It was such a blow to the gut when we got that phone call that we had to take him down and be processed. It was frightening.
When I talked to the officer, he goes, "I didn't want to charge you. You cooperated with everything, but the prosecutor's making me charge you." What the heck has happened to discretion in this case?
Right, because the police at the scene were using logic. Yet, from above, the bosses said, "Oh, no. Well, here's another guy we can feed into the New Jersey gun control machine and crush him and destroy him."
I've been to New Jersey, I bet you 500 times in my life since 1995, and I've never taken my firearm. I simply forgot it was in there that day. We were running late. I went to the store. I forgot it was in there. And you're making me into a felon now, simply for making a mistake, an honest mistake.
I'm sorry, how much safer do you feel now? Did that make us safer? No, not one bit.
You're not keeping good people safe. The criminals are still out there with their weapons. The honest people, you're hurting us. The position that my husband's in, there's threats constantly.
I have no way to protect myself and my loved ones. They're trying to reduce me to the people that I take care of and watch in the prisons. I'm not a felon.
I can't imagine him being in jail. I just can't even think about it. That is not who he is.
But wouldn't Sergeant Hughes be covered under LEOSA, the Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act?
Frankly, LEOSA needs to be fixed. This law was enacted to try to curtail states from prosecuting law enforcement for bringing their firearms into the other states. But they have a provision that says these correctional officers must have statutory powers of arrest. And Pennsylvania doesn't have statutory powers of arrest. So they're not covered arguably by LEOSA.
The only ability I have to arrest or detain is if I'm on an escort with an inmate and he escapes from my custody, I have the right to retake him into custody in immediate pursuit.
So a corrections officer without a New Jersey carry license from New Jersey can carry in Pennsylvania, but a Pennsylvania corrections officer, even with a Pennsylvania carry license, cannot carry in New Jersey. And now facing a felony level charge up to 10 years in state's prison for his handgun. Absurd.
This is why national reciprocity is so important and why it needs to be passed. I'm hoping that maybe this is the case that does it. The Second Amendment is supposed to protect us from this.
The New Jersey gun law is the poster child, just screaming out, basically giving the finger to the rest of the country because they won't accept anybody else's carry license. They need to be sent a message, and that is national reciprocity.
The system is definitely broken. The woman who hit me is facing a Class 4 driving while intoxicated charge in New Jersey. That's not even a felony charge. I'm facing a Class 2 felony charge. 3.5 to 10 years is what I'm facing.
That moment changed our entire lives forever. They are ruining our lives. We're not anybody to them. We're just names on paper.
This has really wiped me out financially. And if I am charged with a felony, even if I get the pretrial intervention, I still lose my job and lose my career. My job had no choice but to suspend me. I don't believe they wanted to.
He's endured fights, being bitten, having concussions, all these things he has endured through these years by working in law enforcement. And in the end, what's he gonna have? He's gonna have nothing.
Losing my right to vote, losing my right to travel out of the country. I'm a former high school football coach. I can't coach high school football if I have a felony charge. That's totally wrong.
I would like this nightmare to just be over, but even when this is over, we'll never be able to be the same because this is always going to be there.
And that's why I'm fighting this.
There is no justice in putting a law-abiding citizen who is just trying to protect themselves into jail.
I'm fighting this for all people because it's time that people make a stand and say, we're not going to let you erode our rights anymore.
We are going to lose what America stands for if we don't stand up for ourselves.